What's up, YouTubers? Your boy, Deluxe Man. Welcome to another SummerSlam review from my SummerSlam review series. We're in the year 2007. One of the worst, and I do mean worst years for WWE. This year was awful. So many bad things about this year. Don't get me started. I just remember hating this year so much. So much. But when it comes to SummerSlams, let's see. I got this one, then 2008, 2009, and 2010. And then I'll be done, because I'll be caught up. I could go back and re-review 2011, I suppose. But other than that, yeah, that's it. I only got 3 more left. At the same time, though, I don't remember 2007 through 2010 being all that great. So I'm not that excited to go back and re-watch some of these SummerSlams. But I might surprise myself. It could just be my memory failing me. I think 2008, thinking about it, it should have been a pretty solid show. 2009, I'm not looking forward to. And 2010 is going to piss me off because that's the Nexus angle. But when it comes to 2007, this is the SummerSlam many consider to be the worst, or one of the worst SummerSlams of all time. Do I think it's the worst? Actually, it's kind of not that noteworthy. I don't really see myself going back and watching it, but do I think it's the worst? I think 1995 was a lot worse. And maybe a couple of the early SummerSlams I would put below this. Don't get me wrong, I would definitely put this in the bottom half of the list. This is not a show I recommend you go and watch. It's not really worth taking the time out of your day to check out. But at the same time, people calling it the worst, I can see why you say it. But on paper, it's really just an average show. That's all I gotta say about it. I'm not gonna spend too much time ranting or, losing my mind over the show. It's really just whatever. The show was hyped off of 2 returns, Rey Mysterio and Triple H. So Triple H suffered his second quad injury. I think it's the same leg, or was it a different leg? Regardless, it's the same injury, and he's been out for a good portion of the year. He came back to take on King Booker, who made his final SummerSlam appearance for the time being. I think he does come back. What year? What year was that he came back for SummerSlam? I don't even remember. But he does go to TNA after this. And then Rey Mysterio had to take a break because I think he suffered a knee injury last year, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been gone for a long time. But he's back. Good to have him back. He took on Chavo Guerrero. And compared to their match last year, the match they put on this year was so much better. Miles ahead of what they did last year. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, I think the reason that match wasn't that good was because of the knee injury. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. Because I know he was working hurt. I know he was working through an injury around that time. Maybe that's why. Because when you think about it, he didn't even do the entrance last year. Usually he would pop up from the bottom of the stage. He didn't do that. He did it this year, but he didn't do that last year. So maybe that knee injury had something to do with the quality of that match, because they've had better matches. Now, with that said, the match they put on tonight still wasn't as good as their 2004 matches or WCW matches. But overall, I thought Rey and Chavo had match of the night compared to the rest of the card. I will happily explain why as I get into the show. But a couple of details, as you guys know. The runtime was 2 hours and 50 minutes. It was 2007, as I said, August 26th. The arena was the Continental Airlines Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The attendance was 17,441. We had 3 shows, ECW, Raw, and SmackDown, that included commentary, Jim Ross and Jerry, the King Lawler from Raw, JBL and Michael Cole from SmackDown, Joey Styles and Taz from ECW. Ring announcers were Justin Roberts, Lillian Garcia, and Tony Chimmel. No Howard. I think this might be the last... Well, no, because I remember seeing Howard on the future SummerSlams. I don't know where he was tonight, but whatever. He wasn't on this show. I was hoping to hear his voice, but whatever. So let's get to it. We open things up with Kane and Finlay. Kane was the babyface in this match, and Finlay was the heel. This is the first time we'll see Hornswoggle. He does make an appearance in this match, and this version of Hornswoggle did not piss me off. I liked when he was the creepy bastard, the little bastard, the leprechaun hiding under the ring. But he was also Cruiserweight Champion, if I'm not mistaken. Was this the year he became Cruiserweight Champion? If it was, no wonder I hated 2007. God damn it! What the hell? And who was Cruiserweight Champion before him? Was that the Hurricane or Gregory Helms? I don't even remember who was Cruiserweight Champion before him, but yeah. Kane versus Finlay, decent match. I felt like, for the most part, it was alright. The crowd was into it, and yeah, I wasn't offended by it. They had a match. There you go. Kane wins. Oh boy. So, throughout the segment, we did these office get-togethers with the GMs. Raw GM was Jonathan Coachman. SmackDown was still Teddy Long, holla holla holla, William Regal, and Vince McMahon. Wait, okay. Was it Jonathan Coachman, or was it, I just pulled a Jack Swagger, or was it William Regal? Because I know both of them eventually became GM. I wasn't too sure which one it was. I'm assuming it was Jonathan Coachman, because I know he's GM in 2007. But the foursome had appearances from people like Santino Marella, who made an appearance at SummerSlam. MVP making his first appearance at SummerSlam. Crime Time, Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah, you know, those kind of segments. And I'll be real with you, the best part of this slew of segments was the stuff they did with Crime Time. When they had that dance-off with the GMs in Crime Time, and then William Regal doing his strut, bro. I love that. And then you had Ron Simmons coming after that. Damn! That was awesome. That was some really good stuff. Everything else I can do without. It was just kind of, I don't know, it was just kind of there. Nothing really much to talk about. Now, this was around the time they were doing that illegitimate son angle, which, it makes me angry what that turned out to be. We all know, if you know your history, that Hornswoggle became the illegitimate son of Vince McMahon, which they retconned in 2008. It was so bad. But it pisses me off not because of how bad it turned out to be. If you know the backstory of what it was supposed to be, you would hate it too. So, let's just talk about it. I don't think I ever done a video on the son angle, the illegitimate son angle. But let's talk about it. So during this time, we were trying to figure out who Vince McMahon's son was. And he was going through the roster of, are you my son? Are you my son? Are you my son? And the guy who was supposed to be his illegitimate son was Mr. Kennedy. Which, by the way, makes more sense. Because Mr. McMahon's middle name is Kennedy. Vincent Kennedy McMahon? Ken Kennedy? Okay, I can buy that. Makes a lot of sense too. But here's what it was going to be. Let me explain to you the full story of what this thing was supposed to be in 2007. So around this time as well, Vince McMahon had an accident. There was a plot where his limousine blew up. You know, his whole limousine caught on fire, and I'm not making this up. The plan was to reveal that Linda McMahon, the COO, committed the incident. She murdered her husband, and WWE was going to use that to send her to jail, make her a felon, really go as far as to, you know, claim her as a murderer. She murdered her husband. And during that time, it would be revealed that Mr. Kennedy, Ken Kennedy, was the, rightful owner of the company because he was his son. And they were going to do an angle where Mr. Kennedy became the new owner of WWE. Yo. And then Mr. Kennedy would be the one to beat John Cena because he would just give himself opportunities after opportunity because he's the owner of the company. Eventually, he would get the championships. He would be the top heel in the company until Triple H and Stephanie McMahon stepped in because Stephanie was the daughter of Vince. So she would come in, and since she's married to Triple H, he would rightfully get ownership or vie for ownership of the company. The game would then escalate the feud all the way to WrestleMania, where he would beat Kennedy and get ownership of the company. And that is when Vince McMahon would return, reveal that he faked his death so he could put his wife in jail, and then claim Kennedy as his true son. And that would basically be the feud. Yo, like, if they actually had done that, like, for real, I'm not kidding you. If they had done that story the way it was planned out to be, I would have actually liked it. I would have actually liked that. That would have been freaking awesome. If they had gone through with that, instead of doing Hornswoggle, bro. Yo, that's an awesome story. I like it. Unfortunately, we had to kill that story, not just because of Hornswoggle, but because of what would happen to Chris Benoit, who did not show up on this show. Benoit, as you guys know, committed his double homicide suicide this year, and it shook the core of the entire business. Everybody had a side. You hated Chris Benoit for how he ended his life. It just completely killed his career. It killed his name. Or you respected him as a wrestler. You couldn't get past the fact that he was one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, and you refused to look at him as a murderer. So everybody had a side. But yeah, this was the year that I think put a black mark on the wrestling business, and even now in 2008, it feels like we haven't recovered. We might have gotten better, but I still think Benoit's death is having bad effects on the business here in 2018, 10 years later. It's ridiculous, man. Oh, but man, that illegitimate storyline, the illegitimate son storyline, if it had played out as that, would have been freaking amazing. But give me your thoughts on that. Okay, so the rest of the card was what it was. We had an Intercontinental Championship triple threat match. Umaga, who was a babyface champion, when he had that long heel run on top, fighting John Cena for the championship. Don't know why he didn't win the title, but whatever. Umaga was the IC champion, and he took on Mr. Kennedy and Carlito, who was also making his first appearance, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I didn't see Carlito on SummerSlam 2005 or 6. Interesting. But Umaga won this match. It was decent. We already talked about Rey Mysterio and Chavo. Match of the night. Really good. And then we got this women's battle royal. So, Candice Michelle was the champion at this time. And we had women from ECW, SmackDown, and Raw trying to compete for her belt. And the match, although when you look at the names, Maria, Beth Phoenix, Melina, Jillian Hall, Mickie James, Tori Wilson, Victoria, Crystal, Michelle McCool, Layla, Kelly, and Brooke, lots of eye candy. Lots of beautiful, beautiful women. With that said, this match was horrible. This match sucked. This match was really bad. It was hard to get through. It really was. When it was over, I was like, oh, thank God. But Beth Phoenix won, and she eventually does beat Candice Michelle to win the championship. As you know, your history. And then we had a beer drinking contest because MVP, who was the United States champion, didn't want to defend his belt. So he took on Matt Hardy in a beer drinking contest, to which Matt Hardy invited Stone Cold Steve Austin, who got the pop of the night to take his place. Austin came in, had some fun, did some push-ups, did some jumping jacks, drank some beer, and then stunned MVP. I loved it. I thought it was great. MVP was so underrated. MVP was a really good heel. I don't even know why he's not back in the company now. He could be a good manager or just a good performer. But alright, maybe they will bring him back. But yeah, he was a good heel back then. Honestly, following that, the show just kind of tanked. ECW Championship, John Morrison versus CM Punk. See, matches like this piss me off because the very next ECW show, they do the rematch. And Morrison and Punk have one of the best matches of the year on that show. That match with Morrison and Punk was amazing. This match was not. The match they put on Tuesday should have been the match we got tonight. Because it would have been a SummerSlam Classic. I can't speak to that. I don't know why. Yeah, SummerSlam Classic. This was not even a match. This was like 5 minutes. It wasn't even that long. So yeah, it's what it is. John Morrison retains. Average match. Not as bad as the next match is coming up. So next up is the return of Triple H taking on King Booker. And it might as well be a house show match. It was more about Triple H coming back and him celebrating after the match than the match itself. Yeah, this was Booker T's final match, and honestly, I would have left too. They did not treat him right. I don't think Booker T got the respect that he should have gotten back in 2006 or 2007. For real. But whatever. Triple H came back, he won, welcome back. And then, oh my God. One of the reasons I hated 2007, the Great Khali as world champion. I hated this championship run. Why was the Great Khali ever a thing? This is another Giant Gonzalez come to life. Great Khali took on Batista, who we've discussed already, not being in the best of shapes. Now, Batista had an awesome series of matches with The Undertaker. I'll give you that. But in terms of his other matches, and then we get to the Great Khali, which, oh my goodness, this was torture. I feel like I was walking through hell. This match felt long, although it was like, 7-8 minutes? I don't even remember how long it was, but it felt like an eternity. This was hell. I hate this match. One of the worst matches I've seen in SummerSlam. Go F yourselves. I don't know why I censored myself. I want to cuss, but I don't feel like cussing right now because of people in the house, so I'm trying to be on my best behavior. But for real, this match is one of the worst matches I have ever seen. And then to make matters worse, you give us a long, torturous slug of a match. Then you end it in DQ. Because that's exactly what we wanted to see. Good God, I hated this run. I hate Great Khali. And I hate his championship run. Oh, God, I'm so happy he's not here today. I never liked Great Khali. I hate him. I hated him when he first came in. I hate him now. God. This match is horrible. But luckily, we had the final match, which was John Cena versus Randy Orton. Another reason I didn't like 2007. So, look. John Cena in 2006, I was still a fan of. I know a lot of people hate him. It was the cool thing to do in 2006 to boo John Cena. I wasn't booing Cena in 2006. I thought he was still entertaining. I thought he was still good. Here in 2007, though, this is when the overbooking really killed my fandom. I do think this is the year I myself started to hate John Cena. This is a year where I just was like, okay, please get someone else in that World Championship picture. I'm sick and tired of Cena running over everybody. I was pissed off that he beat Bobby Lashley. That was the night I went, okay, yeah, this is stupid. because I feel like Bobby should have won that championship. And then we get to his match with Randy Orton. This is the first time they fought. Thinking about it, yes. Yeah, Randy Orton and John Cena, first time ever, SummerSlam 2007. And I think the first time they actually came face to face was 2004. So a 3-year build. 3-year build. Wow. So, this match was, I don't know. Listen, the match was 20 minutes long. I think the first half was boring as hell. It was very lifeless. It was whatever. I was watching a Raw match at that point. And then the last 10 minutes, it's like they kicked it up. It's almost like the first half of the match didn't matter. And see, there is this way of doing it where you can seamlessly transition from a slow match into a very awesome match, and it overall becomes a great match. But if the first half of the match is boring as hell, and then all of a sudden, okay, now we're trying to have a great match, that doesn't make for an exciting match overall. Because if you look at it from my standpoint, the first half was a D+. The second half was a B+. That averaged out to a C+. So overall, it was decent. It wasn't horrible, but I'm not going to go back and watch it. Why go back and watch it? It was what it was. Decent match. Cena wins. They have much better matches. Their matches in 2009, their matches in 2008, I think, are better than this. But, yeah, this SummerSlam, not worth your time. Don't go out of your way to watch it. If anything, watch Rey Mysterio and Chavo, and then watch those backstage segments with Crime Time and Vince and the GMs. But that's it. Yeah, I can see why people want to say this is the worst SummerSlam of all time. I don't believe it is. But it is a SummerSlam that I wouldn't go back and watch. A very weak SummerSlam. But that's my thoughts. Give me your thoughts about it down below. Alright, 2008's next, then 2009, then 2010, and if I have time, we'll do 2011. But this is your boy, the Lex Man, signing off. I hope you enjoyed this review. Peace out.